In 2008, when I moved back to Dubai, I was 21 years old. And when I stepped into the business, I had to prove to people that I can do it, that I'm serious.
You cannot come to a city like Dubai, set up your businesses here, bring your families here, make your money, enjoy this quality of life, and leave it to Sheikh Mohammed to take Dubai into the future.
Dubai is not restricted to one set of nationalities. With such a melting pot of culture, one building would cater to literally a mini UN.
In a city built on ambition and diversity, real estate isn't just about buildings. It's about people, emotion, and the invisible forces that shape decisions.
It's proven beyond doubt in multiple studies that the decision will eventually be based on an emotion, and logic will justify that particular decision.
Most people understand emotion. Very few know how to leverage it. The line between struggling agents and top performers in Dubai.
Where can it all go right and wrong?
There is a certain method that you have to use. It's what I call a pulse check.
USP versus a benefit. What's the difference?
If you have a USP, you sell by differentiation. What do you do when you don't have a USP? You sell by association.
Luxury is a feeling that you go inside the home and you feel comfortable and you feel like you're living your best life.
It's about how confident I feel in that space. That is what will make me feel luxurious.
This episode pulls back the curtain on what really drives decisions in Dubai's real estate market and the insights that separate top performers from everyone else. This is Beyond the Surface.
Welcome to Beyond the Surface by Design Studio by Huzaifa. Today we are talking about money and design in real estate and how the right interior design choices can sell faster, sell higher, and hold value over time. We're asking what actually moves the market and what is just a pretty picture. And we have three amazing guests with us today. Alessia Sheglova is the CEO of Dacha Real Estate, a market leader in Dubai property since 2004. She spent more than 17 years in the city's real estate trenches and literally grew up here, which is why her market read feels like instinct. Across social, she reaches more than 600,000 audience and frequently wraps up 15 million views a month. We're talking design choices and deals. She's here to tell us which interior upgrades actually do sell faster and higher. And Dr. Anand Menon is the CEO of Empowered Performance. He is one of Dubai's most influential sales coaches. He works in real estate teams on selling psychology, on leadership and conversion, building clear, repeatable playbooks that genuinely move buyers from interest to decision. If there's a way to turn a beautiful room into a compelling business case, he is literally the one who scripts it. And joining us on the sofa, we have got Abdullah Kuni. He is leading AK Designo as managing director and principal architect, an award-recognized studio shaping high-end interiors and architecture across the region. Named in industry power lists, he's known for designs that look premium and stay valuable. Smart plans, honest materials, and specs that survive even Dubai's climate. He's here to show us how design can pay for itself. You've been working in sales for decades, Doctor. Initially in hospitality and travel, and now it's real estate that you're turning your expertise to. What is it about the space that you love?
Firstly, homes are very special to people. So I always wanted to do something where I add real value. That was the second thing. Is I'm a visionary myself. That's the reason why I stayed back in Dubai. And infrastructure is what we need to take Dubai to become the #1 city in the world. And another word for infrastructure at this moment is real estate. So I found that by being in real estate, we could actually help not just the people who are in the industry here, the investors from around the world, to understand how they are actually not just earning from the real estate, but they are actually contributing to this city becoming #1 by 2040. So that was the reason why I got into this space, and I never left it after that.
You're wearing your flag pin, and I know you had the option to leave the UAE 25 years ago and chose to stay as a result of some very special words from the UAE's leaders. Tell us about that choice.
I was doing my immigration process to Canada, got everything done, reached the point of wrap up, literally a medical, get onto the plane and go. And then Sheikh Mohammed stands up and shares his vision, his father's vision. I said, there's no way I can leave this city right now. So stayed back. It was not an easy decision to make at that time because I stayed back on a promise. Okay, and I couldn't even see whether that was going to happen, because at that point in time, a lot of the plans that we have today clearly published on the internet were not there. But then that was the gamble, that was the risk I took, and it paid off. The reason I actually wear the flag today is because I honor, and I say this every time I go anywhere, I said, you cannot come to a city like Dubai, set up your businesses here, bring your families here, make your money, enjoy this quality of life, and leave it to Sheikh Mohammed to take Dubai into the future. Every single one of us has to be an ambassador for Dubai.
I wanted to ask you, Abdullah, a little bit about your passion for real estate, because design, you can work across a whole range. You can apply your expertise and aesthetic to products, to fashion, to cars, but it's homes that you have chosen. Why is that?
Homes are more personalized. There's a lot of emotions to it. And then, of course, you've been, and being in Dubai, seeing the cityscape change from smaller villas to palaces to these skyscrapers, so that, you see this emerging and change in architecture, which is so fast-paced, where that kind of grows on you.
That end result is ultimately something that's going to be meaningful to someone, whether they open their door and it's their home and it's their sanctuary, or it becomes their investment or investment in their children's future. So it's an honorable thing.
It's definitely a matter of pride. Again, Dubai is not restricted to one set of nationalities. With such a melting pot of culture, one building would cater to literally a mini UN. So even keeping that intact is also a very crucial part as a designer, so that it is comfortable for everyone.
Alessia, you've been working in this space for, as I said, more than 17 years. What initially attracted you to real estate, and what is it that still keeps you on the forefront of innovation and training and development of talent?
I think real estate is in my blood because my father was a realtor and a developer. And my mother actually is the one who founded Dacha in 2004. I was studying to go into med school. That was my passion initially. And then I studied in Canada and I had to go to med school, which would be another 5 years. My mother said, why don't you come to Dubai, try running Dacha, see if you like it, and you can always go back to med school. So in 2008, when I moved back to Dubai and I started, I just stuck with it. I met my husband through real estate and now we run the company together. So it's like a family empire.
I ask what success looked like when you took over the reins in that year and how that's changed now.
It was very challenging because I was 21 years old. And when I stepped into the business, there was only 10 people, but people are like, who is this young child, And it took, I had to prove to people that I can do it, that I'm serious. And now we have a company of over 150 people.
But I wondered, when we think about real estate and storytelling and brand identity, what can we take from you and your experiences, Doctor?
A lot of people sometimes are not aware that you have a left brain approach and a right brain approach. And we know today, it's proven beyond doubt in multiple studies, that the decision will eventually be based on an emotion, and logic will justify that particular decision. The storytelling is where people remember it. Most of the logic and the data that you share with people, I share a lot of data in the same, 90% of it is forgotten by the time they switch off. I know that for a fact. But the story lingers, because the story is what someone can relate to. Psychologically, stories also help, because when you use metaphors, people go into the critical filter gets suspended. So it becomes very easy for people to relate to what you're trying to tell them from a storytelling perspective. So in real estate, it is about homes. There is a lot of emotion in it. Even if I'm an investor today, he needs to be able to understand why a family would choose to want to rent that particular community, or why they would want to maybe buy that home from him.
Is that something that you recognize with your team then, Alessia, when it comes to creating relationships?
Well, we actually specialize in ready homes. So I think it's easier to sell the feel of living there when you're showing a ready house. Client can touch and feel and imagine living there. So I think it's selling off plan is a bit harder, right? To create the vision. So in terms of secondary market sales, the person needs to know all the answers about the property. And actually, when you walk into the house with the client, you have to tell them the story of how it would feel to sit at this dining table overlooking the sea, how it would be to hang your clothes in this massive closet, etc. So yes, you always try to make them envision how they would feel living in a certain property.
From a design point of view, Abdullah, which designs to your mind add value without necessarily blowing the budget when we think about some of those features that we could perhaps all steal from today?
Generally, the trend right now is coming to a bit more minimalistic. There was always this perception that being Dubai, a lot of things have to be blingy, but that you can see that perceptions are changing right now.
Abdullah, when you're working with a client and they are making choices about things like materials, about lighting, what are some design choices that really do add value long term?
We believe in the whole idea of composition, meaning all these elements coming together in place. With the advent of so much of information where all the end users have access, you see so many things that you get confused. And then you have these big clients coming up, why don't we try this? Why don't we try this? Sometimes some simple things also work well, fit in well, because you balance it all out. Now, you can't just make everything interesting because it's an interesting product. That's where complications come into each project. When you try to over-innovate, actually something simple, elegant, well-balanced, and composed stand out much, much better in the long run.
That's really interesting. You're nodding along there, Doctor. Is this something that's been true in your experience?
Not only in my experience, if you look at the personality of real estate worldwide today, as well as Dubai, this concept of vast, expansive homes with large rooms and big, bulky furniture was a thing that used to work a few years ago. It still works in some of the luxury, ultra luxury, but generally, bulk of the people are buying into more expensive units, into land which is expensive. So the sizes of the units are getting smaller. When you're getting 86% of our buyers in the market are going into apartments. So then the minimalistic design and the flow, having more space to breathe and live, and you have kids who want to run around. So people are going to not so much go in for the opulent designs and things like that. They go for space saving because it's expensive. The homes are getting smaller and smaller. And that's the reason why I was nodding. I agree that minimalistic is actually making more sense these days.
What have you noticed in terms of what buyers are asking for? How's that changed?
In the secondary market, a lot of people are buying older homes because they are in developed areas such as Dubai Marine and Greens downtown, and they're completely renovating it. But in terms of renovations, people are going for, subtle tones, calm designs, such as similar to Al Huzaifa showroom that we've just been in. So definitely people, even if they're renovating to sell, they're going for neutral tones, because if you go for something that's your taste, potential buyer might be turned away from that. Not everybody will like what another person like. One of my investment properties, it's a townhouse, and the previous owner renovated the kitchen only. It used to be a closed kitchen, which I know for some obviously nationalities they prefer that, but he opened it all up and changed the kitchen, put nice appliances in, and the value of that house, even though it was similar to all the others in a row, was higher, and the tenants preferred to rent that more. Where there's a larger Indian community who prefer a closed kitchen, that would be different. But because we were in the European targeted community, they wanted the open plan kitchen.
What about building confidence and trust from a sales point of view? What are some of the things that can contribute to trust and confidence for buyers, and any design decisions that can increase that?
The first thing here is people need to be careful when they even select developers. In any economy that is growing and developing, there's a lot of opportunities. So it means naturally a lot of players are going to come in. So we need to be actually fact checking, because honey will also attract flies. Whether it is going to be salespeople, whether it's investors, whether it is developers, you'll get them. But in the middle of all of this, there are some seriously good people at work. Our job is to be able to qualify them, and those are the people we work with. They come in because they want to give long-term value. Whether they're developers, salespeople, brokers, they are there because they're serious. They want to contribute to the landscape as well. So I think one legacy does help, because especially if there's been deliveries, you can actually drive through the communities, you can see. But for new developers coming in, not everyone is coming in just because there's money. They really want to be part of the landscape, but they're carrying history from Europe, or they're carrying it from Asia, or these places. So their legacy is built somewhere else. So it's really important for them to be able to bring that story with them when they come in here. So how they position themselves, how the brand is made visible, how they actually coach their own people to become ambassadors for the brand becomes very visible. So that's definitely one thing. The second thing could be the type of communities in which they choose to enter. So it is, people commonly associate that an attractive area also brings premium developers. The opposite is true as well. You can have a premium developer or a legacy developer going into an area and raising the value of the area. If an EMAR had to leave the downtown area and they went and picked up another area, that area is going to jump. It's very important to see which area they're coming in. What's the long-term vision that is coming into that? What's the kind of lifestyle that they're actually going to be bringing in? And if I may add, work with premium developers, brokerages who understand the market, who have been here long term, because they really do understand the dynamics of building this international community. Dubai no longer is regional.
What have you noticed when it comes to people building? Because I remember when I moved here, there were certain developments that were saying it's been built with a 15-year shelf life. When developers are building now, in terms of their choice of materials and wanting things to have not just a luxurious feel or craftsmanship, but this idea of longevity, is that something that's become a focus more?
Some of the projects which we especially the premium ones, which I've noticed is, again, the developers are giving certain basic finishes because they know that the end users who are coming in are going to end up breaking it off and redoing the entire place. So there's a bit more flexibility for that. Now, the regular scale of apartments, again, going back to what you mentioned, it's catering to that entire palette. You go for a neutral palette, understand a certain, area-wise consideration. What are the nationalities, the kind of people that's going to be occupying this space, and then you kind of put yourself into it. And then you develop the designs for it. So, but then again, longevity for a certain mid-segment or lower might be of a priority. But for the premium ones, for the ultra premium ones, I feel that after a few years, they're going to have anyway a renovation done.
I was here from the very start and I saw Dubai being built. Palm Jumeirah villas were selling for 2 million Nahil. Springs were selling, I think, for 600,000. So the quality was so basic, and it was the first project in Dubai. Like it was really, really bad. And although there's still some Springs villas with the original finishing, so of course when people go, I think they're around 20 years old now, right? They want to change everything. But Emaar in Dubai Marina, a lot of apartments are still in the original condition. It's still very good. If you use good finishing straight away, it will last much more than 15 years.
Have you had any weird and wonderful requests over the years? And are there any properties where you go, well, yes, of course, it's Dubai, we have this for you?
I guess on Palm Jumeirah, there's a lot of special things. One of the villas had a display where Bugatti was placed to turn. People, if it's a lavish home, they want a huge walk-in closet, a large pool, cinema room. But that's, I think, very standard in luxury homes.
If you could have a wish list of your own, and if I gave you an unlimited budget, what one feature would you love to have in your own home?
I'm honestly very blessed with the home I have now because we've worked hard for it. But otherwise, non-negotiables for me, for sure, walk-in closet, 2 kitchens, like the show kitchen and the kitchen for cooking, a large swimming pool, and my ideal home would be on the Palm Jumeirah.
Do you feel like there are certain features that will sell a property? Every developer thinks they have a USP.
Every developer is going to offer you a certain lifestyle, and there are certain, in their mind, USPs. While most of the time it's not really a USP, it's actually a benefit. However, again, it is really who is that developer catering to? Where the problem comes into the market is when we have salespeople who don't really pre-qualify not just the capacity, which is the money, but also the need. So what ends up happening is we have salespeople trying to talk to anybody for any kind of property. That never works.
What are the right questions an agent should be asking to really understand what success looks like for that buyer?
The first thing we want to find out is what is the real reason they're looking to buy today? What's the purpose, the intent? Is it going to be for themselves, or are they looking for something that they can make a return on? If they're looking for something they want to make a return on, how many years do they plan to stay in the opportunity? Becomes very important. I don't like people asking, is it short-term or long-term? What does short-term mean? To someone from the UK, short-term could be 5 to 8 years. To someone coming out of India and Egypt, it's 6.5 months. So it's better to ask, how long do you plan to stay in the investment? Because it's very important for me to then look at, even if he's got 10 million, does that community have an exit possibility in that 2 to 3 years? Is it ready? For example, I plan to exit in a community, say 2 years or 3 years time. But at the point of my exit, is the community ready or even partially ready for a lifestyle opportunity? Because probably the second buyer is going to become a homeowner. So many people don't do that. They will just sell, especially in off-plan, they'll just sell saying that, yes, in 2 years, 2.5 years, you're paid only 40% on your plan, you'll get excellent ROE, but they will not be able to sell. So you have to be very careful so that's why the part of the qualifying isn't just what's the need, how long you want to stay in it, how much are you looking at investing, do you want it to be a single unit or are you looking at multiple units? How soon are you planning to make the decision? All these are very, very important. What is the kind of lifestyle that you are looking for when you decide to buy a home? If they want to exit, then I would take them into a Dubai land area where lifestyle is there. I would take them to a business bay. I would take them to communities which are fairly well developed. They don't even have to be 100% developed, but there is a lifestyle opportunity. But if you sell off a plan, most of the communities in Dubai are so big today, they're taking a cool 15 years to complete. So when I look at the model, that is the completed community. And if I'm going to buy looking at all the beautiful water, the lagoons and the golf courses, they're not there in 3 years' time.
I want to come back just very quickly on your point about USP versus a benefit. What's the difference?
I actually do this a lot in training. I ask people, okay, tell me what's your USP. They'll say, great location. We have very good quality. We are using premium brands. We've got a very attractive payment plan, and those sort of things. So I then asked myself as another question. I said, is it possible that there are others who also have a great location? And they tell me yes. So how is it a unique selling point? It's just become a benefit that you, like a few others, are in a great location. Is it possible that others also can give you good quality? Yes. Is it possible others also have great appreciation? So what ends up happening is people are actually presenting benefits as if they are USPs. And that is dangerous because you find a smart investor, they're logical lateral thinkers. If you tell me we have an amazing location, he'll say that one also has an amazing location.
And that's been interesting in terms of some developers really trying to make their mark. Some of them are really, I think, sometimes going out of their way to try to be different, and some are perhaps listening to what the market is wanting. What do you think really people want?
Developers obviously want to sell, so they try to add as much of the benefits as possible to stand out. But having said that, we work on one building, which is only for rent, and they have the craziest amenities I've seen in Dubai, one of them being a rainforest. So you go in, it's a rainforest, they have a live gazelle, they have big parrots, and they have rain. It sometimes rains in there, and then you go out into the swimming pool area. Then they have a podcast. Basically, they have so many amenities there. And when we do bring tenants in, they love it and they rent it straight away. They don't even want to see other buildings because no other building in Dubai has these facilities, I guarantee you.
But that's really interesting about that point of difference, because to my mind, it is about answering the market, and not just answering the market, but maybe anticipating what the demographic of Dubai in 5-10 years' time might be. How much of that is your kind of, I guess, trend prediction?
If I can just come back to the amenities part of it, I compare it to, when we buy cars, we say we want these options, and how many of them do you end up using? This whole race about amenities has become a bit of a challenge for developers, and even including us as designers, because you're going to be rephrasing, like you said, you tend to think it's your USP, but it is not. It is just another aspect that is being sold by others as well. Delivering, of course, there is a major part of it, which they will work on it, but initially they want to sell. So then they go back to the salespeople and say, they get their feedback on what can be sold. This developer is selling 40 amenities, and we only have 25. So what do we do? Okay, add this. So is it being overdone? Is a big question mark. Is it really necessary? If it was me personally, asking me as an end user, I would like to have a nice looking building, very clean, well maintained, like you said, with the longevity factor, especially in the public areas. My own space, I can do it up my way. But at least the common amenities, having a certain basic look and feel, make it comfortable, like we said about, it's not just about the physical look. There's a lot of smell, sound, a lot of aspects that create that kind of environment.
It's important for each building to have the necessities, right? Like a good gym.
That's true.
I'd rather have a very good gym, a very good swimming pool, paddle, things that truly matter, and then invest the rest of the money that they're spending perhaps on the amenities into the apartments.
When we think about how neighborhoods grow and progress, that's quite an interesting piece. And I wondered, are there any particular areas right now where that's being done very well? What are you noticing?
Definitely all the future communities that are coming up will take care of this aspect because it's becoming part of the approval process itself. And so if you look at communities like Damak Hills, Dubai Hills Estate, they did that. Because you have to understand that the earlier communities like Arabian Ranches, absolutely brilliant community, but Dubai was still a relative novice in terms of real estate and lifestyles and opportunities. So things that were launched in 2002 and 2003 cannot really compete with the Dubai Islands or the new communities, the blue-green requirements, all that. So the future communities are all world-class because we want to attract the best in the world. To actually come back to the amenities as well, what we're talking about, sometimes what happens is we don't realize or that our developers putting in towers, I completely agree. They're just going overboard with the amenities in towers. Communities are slightly different. Take Dubai Hills Estate, over 50 plus different kinds of amenities. That's because they have understood that different types of people wanting different types of life. It's like a mini city. I don't play golf, but we put a golf course there for those who love to play golf. I might be an outdoor track and fitness kind of guy. We have that also for you. The mistake that happens is when we try to sell or advise people to come into homes and investments, we have to list out all the 45 amenities, which should not be done. You pre-qualify the client, understand what's the reason he is looking to come, focus on those amenities. The others are not meant for him, it's for somebody else.
And Doctor, let's say a developer doesn't have a USB. They are literally creating something for Dubai market that is going to tick a lot of boxes for hopefully a lot of people. How do you help them leverage what they have and ultimately connect?
Many of the developers are actually coming out with the cookie cutter kind of buildings because they're going for mass, because they have to take care of the 6 million that we're going to be eventually happening. Now, the challenge comes when you're presenting it. If you have a USP, you sell by differentiation. And the reason is, when I'm as an investor, I scan the horizon, I cannot find someone who has it, therefore my price will hold. So that's when I use differentiation. I would simply say the reason why so many investors choose this building over the others is because of 1, 2, 3. And you can do that with confidence. What do you do when you don't have a USP, but you do not want, you want to negate the possibility of the client challenging you? Then what I will do, I'll sell by association. USP, you sell by differentiation. Benefit, you sell by association. So what I would do is I say, Helen, like all premium towers in this community, this one also gives you 1, 2, and 3. Now they cannot turn around and say, yeah, but I can get it in that building. You can hold your price still, and you have associated yourself with all the other premium in that area. So you don't give them the opportunity to attack you on that, because smart negotiators know how to do this.
And when it comes to views, then, is that something people want? You know, we can think about the nature of a view. Is it something that gets old quite quickly, or do you think it's something that is worth
Of
investing?
course, even if we're not on the waterfront, we don't want to usually face the road. So clients usually pay a premium for a unit that's facing a park or something away from the noise, for sure.
And then how are developers answering that need when it comes to creating a building where you perhaps haven't got 50% of your units facing something that's undesirable?
So one of the tricks or at least the way they utilize it, is in the podiums. So they create that kind of environment. So the podium facing could have some of the larger, properly say, maybe not so vertical buildings, but say a certain space which has got this horizontal span. So they create this very large podium with a lot of interesting activities, and that itself creates a lot of vibrancy. So as a view, that also helps. As an engagement, that also helps. So, when we go to hotels, we see, okay, there's a pool view or there's a city view. So some people prefer. So same way, podium does the trick in terms of apartment buildings.
So when an agent is showing an apartment, they've already established what the why is for that client. They've established what their budget is, what their exit timeline might be. What about the person-to-person connection and literally showing a space? Where can it all go right and wrong?
The first thing here is people need to understand something very clearly about human engagement. People buy from people they like, but people like themselves. We need to understand that this subconscious bias is the more powerful one. And all the emotional connects come from the subconscious, not from the conscious. The logical comes from there. So even when you are showing a home, there is a certain method that you have to use. It's always from the outside to the inside. They have to the walkthrough has to be where you sell the outside first. I mean, you're driving home in the evening, at the end of that street, you're going to see in the middle of the trees, this particular villa or this building. That's the first impression that people get. It's the outside first and only then the inside. Friends coming in on a weekend for a party, that's what they see first. So you have to, or maybe there is a facade design that needs to be highlighted. So you always present from the outside to the inside, from the public spaces to the private spaces, from the lower levels to the upper levels. This is how you build it. If it's a family and you know the people, you don't go generic like this is the kids' room. No, it's Jamie and Alex. That's when you would turn around and say, this could be Jamie's room. Alex could get the one near the window overlooking the path. And I think what is very important, which I do not see a lot of people doing, is what I call a pulse check. A pulse check is, I have to check for proof of life. How do you check if a person's alive? You check the pulse. So whenever you go to do a viewing, you never exit that villa or the apartment without finding out the emotional resonance with that unit. So it starts by simply coming back to a public space in that. Could be a dining area, a kitchen. If the weather is great, it could be by the pool at the back, any of these. And you need to ask the clients there, firstly, what are the questions that they have? So they've seen it. Okay, so what questions do you have about this villa? Answer the questions in there. If they don't have anything, then I shift it. So the what questions do you have is left brain for logic. Then I would shift to the right brain and say, so what did you like about this villa? And you have to get them to say that, because remember, the decision is made on the like. So once they start bringing out what you like, you will be able to do your pulse check to see if they are resonating actually with that. And you actually close out that pulse by simply saying, so Helen, can you see yourself and family living in this kind of home for, say, the next 5 to 6 years? And then you listen to the tone in their voice when they tell you, well, yeah, I can see that happening. Then you use powers. Excellent. And then you come with me. Yeah? So you have to bring the emotional side of it into the home. But there is a logic and a structure and a sequence to how you do this.
Hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah.
Can I ask about selling luxury? Are there certain staff where you go, you're not quite ready yet for this level? And how do you know when someone's ready to sell luxury?
Honestly speaking, whenever somebody new comes to the market, we'll never put them on the super expensive villas because they're just bound to fail. So if we look at Emirates Living, we usually start with Springs, rentals. They learn the product, then they move on to meadows, lakes, and then they go to Emirates Hills as an example. So I think once the person develops the knowledge for the product and the confidence, that's when they go and start selling Emirates Hills.
And presumably about relationships as well, to come back to your point about trust. Because a lot of these properties won't even reach the market. It's going to be, who do you know that's ready to move? Who do you know that has this money that's ready to go? All about relationship building as well.
Of course, it's so important. Actually, I interviewed a few of our brokers who reached really, really big numbers this year. And I said, what made you achieve such results? One of our brokers who did phenomenal in September, actually in the summer, he went and visited this client in Europe. The client invited him, spent maybe 2 weeks with him. And then once he was back in September, the client made a huge purchase.
Wow.
So I think relationships are so important, but also genuine relationships, not trying to be nice for the sake of it. For example, going back to this agent, he saves everybody's birthday and he messaged one of his VIP clients on his birthday. And the client said, you're the first person today who actually messaged me. All of them had the same answer. They said, we obsess about our clients. And I think this is what we touched with Dr. Anand. Some agents who are new to the market, all they care about is the commission and not the clients, especially in off-plan. I think secondary market is a little bit different because you spend much more time with the clients, viewing, et cetera, get to know their kids. But I think the agents who are here to stay for the long run and will succeed in the long run are the ones who actually truly care about the people.
And it's not about selling, it's about it being a mutually beneficial agreement.
Yes, I think sometimes what happens, and sadly, because we do have a lot of brokers who aren't doing the right thing. So sometimes clients take things into their own hand because they can't really trust it. Clients say, I literally have to get into it myself. I found if you want to be really good in real estate, you've got to learn how to change frames of reference in people's minds. I had a couple from the UK. They decided to go for something else. I spoke to them for just 5 minutes and they changed and went completely for something else. It's a very simple technique. And I think any one of us could do. Husband was absolutely certain he knew everything about real estate. And so he told me, listen, my wife knows nothing. Straight up. Frankly, I don't even know how he has a wife. Dude.
Doesn't sound like a great attitude, I have to say.
But he said, listen, she doesn't know anything about it, but I've been doing real estate for a long time now. I said, okay, I understand. Let me ask you how you want this conversation to play out. Do you want me to talk to you as an advisor or as a broker? Silence. You just shift the perspective. Then he said, as an advisor. I said, listen, if you want me to be an advisor, I'll tell you, don't touch this. You want me to be a broker? I'll take you in front of the developer. We'll close it for you. It just builds trust straight away. Just that one line.
I'm curious, when it comes to generating leads that convert to sales, how are people finding out that information and coming to you?
So the way it works for my social media, I just produce content about Dubai, about my life, about developers, and I build trust. So usually when a person comes to me, it's not because of a video I posted about a project. They come to me because they've been following me for a certain time and now they're ready to buy and they feel like they can trust me. That's how I get my leads. And obviously I pass them on to my team. But otherwise, usually if a person sees a sponsored ad, they will contact the agent and the agent still has to qualify. Most of the time, they will not end up buying the project they inquired on.
And what about that then, kind of content to conversion? What have we seen and how has it changed over the decade?
Your personal brand is what people see there. So one of the things I do in my content is I ensure the content has longevity. So, for example, if you talk about the Dubai Economic Agenda 2033, for the next 8 years, anyone who sees it, even 6 years from now, will have something of value. If I'm standing in front of this beautiful 5-bedroom villa, amazing pool, all of that, firstly, if I'm not looking for buying villas, I'm not watching it. Secondly, after the villa is sold, it doesn't bring more people to my page. I need to have a nice balance between promoting the product and the opportunity and promoting Dubai and the future. Because when your content has longevity, it helps salespeople, it helps developers, it helps position the city, it helps investors. So people want to come. So I always try and keep content that is relevant and that will not be limited to time. For example, is this your first time you are investing in Dubai? Okay, you're probably hearing 1,000 noises out there about what should be done. What are the top 5 things that you have to do to ensure that you are coming in correct? Anyone can watch that even after 2 years, 5 years. So that's important. Now, in terms of content to conversion, it's important that people need to understand something. The content that you put out there builds the trust. They are reaching out to you. Remember, they're reaching out because they actually believe you can give them what they want. However, even when they're reaching out, they could still be in a curiosity mindset. Our job is to convert the curiosity into serious intent. Then comes the closure. With leads, one of the reasons why leads fail so much in Dubai is not because of the lead. I disagree with salespeople who tell leads are rubbish. The reason is when a person looks at a lead, they think it's a client. A lead is a person who has expressed an interest at this point. And if you talk to a lead and you're going to suggest a meeting, which is the goal of the call, and it should be, but he's in a curiosity state of mind. You ask me to come for a meeting. I'm not giving you 2 hours in the desert in 50 degrees. I'll tell you to send me a WhatsApp. So the strategy should be my call approach has to shift them from curiosity to serious intent. When I create serious intent, it is only logical to even suggest a meeting.
I wanted to end, as we are in this beautiful setting here, what, Alessia, does luxury mean to you? When I say that word, is it a feeling? Is it a product?
Luxury means so many different things to different people. For somebody, a brand new 1-bedroom apartment could be luxury, while for me, it's an investment property, right? So for me, luxury is a feeling that you go inside the home and you feel comfortable and you feel like you're living your best life. And as I said, for me, it could be different than it's for Pavel Durov, who's the richest man in UAE. So definitely, yeah, it's a feeling and just being comfortable.
It's a very wide thing. Luxury is something like, so when we do projects, again, subjective to the client, it varies. Like somebody finds contemporary luxury, whereas somebody feels that only if you have classical elements in a space, it's considered luxury. But if you ask me personally, it's about how confident I feel in that space. That is what will make me feel luxurious. And that sense of, the pride that comes from being in that space. And that's the way it should be thought, rather than being just objectified by certain elements and things like that. So that would be the real meaning of luxury.
As the city became more visible, it has again changed as more and more people, personalities of the people coming in has changed. And so I agree with both of them. It is an experience. It cannot be. What I find all developers doing today is we are using Grohe, we're using Niel, we're using Dal, we're using all these equipment. And after 1 month, I don't care what is the tap there and the water that's coming out of it. It has no more value. So it is the experience. I'm not going to go and buy a fancy watch to read the time. I can do it on my phone. It's probably more accurate. Okay, or a 2000 dirham G-Shock will give me a more accurate time. So we buy it for the experience, for the status, for the exclusivity, for the lifestyle. I know a CEO who's looking for a $25 million penthouse. He is not worried about what's the equipment inside. He wants a valet service. He wants the concierge. He needs a private butler service. He needs hotel services. So in his mind, luxury is not connected to the actual finishes and the brands in there. It's to the lifestyle opportunity. For somebody else, it's the exclusivity and the scarcity that could be luxury. So that is the reason why whenever you sit with the client also, you need to ask the client, so Helen, what does luxury mean to you? Because I find a lot of people spend a lot on luxurious components within the business, but they don't actually make their life better in there. So they spend it to show that I'm being rich. True luxury never shouts for attention.
That's true.
Okay. Right. It is what you would experience. So that's the difference.
Even a simple thing like smell, a luxurious smell gives it, the space. You feel that, so that's how important it is. Unfortunately, it's been linked. Okay, if you have only the gold-plated elements or, things like that, which is a little bit more standout. No, I might feel very claustrophobic in a space like that.
Personal, and it's evolving. Thank you guys so much. Today we have seen how smart design, intentional choices drives business, how trust and connection really unites us all, and how luxury means something different to absolutely everybody. So Dr. Anand, Abdullah and Alessia, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for being with us for the business of luxury in real estate here on Beyond the Surface, and we'll see you next time.